Hi everybody, my name's Rebecca Gambles and I am an animal healer and communicator. And I just thought I'd jump on today and talk a little bit about how animals communicate to me and why you would want to organise an animal communication session with your pet. So animals communicate to me in a variety of ways. They communicate with me telepathically, so they send me words and sentences. They also send me images to my mind, and they send me feelings to my body as well. So when I'm communicating with an animal, I'm receiving information in a whole variety of levels. So I'm feeling the emotional the animal's feeling, they're giving me images, and they're also sharing words with me. Now, I'm not special in the fact that I can communicate with animals. We can all communicate with animals. So everybody has the capacity to communicate with animals, and as children we know this, and it's only when we grow up to be adults and we forget that we have these capacities. And that's why if you've got children, you might find that your children do naturally communicate with your pets and maybe tell you what they've got to say. So everybody has the ability to learn this gift, and I'm going to share a few tips with you about communicating with your own animal. So you may have a pet of your own that maybe has a habit of coming sitting in front of you and just staring at you, just really maintaining that eye contact. And when they do that, they're letting you know that they want to communicate with you. There's something that they're trying to get across to you. So, for example, you may be watching TV and you may be completely engrossed in what you're watching, and then suddenly you might get a thought in your head to feed the dog or to walk the dog, or maybe the dog's water bowl is empty, and what you don't realize is your dog actually sent you that message. So telepathically the dog sent the message and you received it. Now you think it's just a random thought that popped into your mind, but actually your dog or other pet sent you that message to let you know they wanted feeding, they wanted to go for a walk, or their water bowl was empty. So we are naturally receiving these impressions, we just don't realise that that's what's happening. So animals are always responding to our thoughts. So they're responding to the thoughts that we think, they're responding to the words that we say, and they're responding to the images that we have in our head. So you can try this with your animals. So if you've got a dog, for example, you could, rather than saying, do you want to go for a walk, you could literally project the image of you walking your dog, or projecting the image of going getting the lead, and watching how your dog responds, because they are telepathic and they can read your thoughts. Animals can also react negatively to thoughts that we have as well, so and words that we say as well. So for example, I came across a dog that had a skin disorder, and the skin is connected with feeling safe and feeling protected and feeling a sense of belonging. And when I asked the dog why it created a skin disorder, it said, I don't feel safe. And I said, why don't you feel safe? And the dog said, my owners keep saying they're going to rehome me. So I asked the owner, have you been telling your dog you're going to rehome him? And the owner said, oh yeah, but we're only joking. So the owners had been saying, if you don't behave yourself, I'm going to rehome you. But the dog doesn't get the joke. The dog just takes it that there's a chance it's going to be rehomed. So the dog then felt a sense of not being safe in that family, and then created this skin condition. So a lot of the physical things that show up in your animals as well can be connected to emotions that they're storing in their body. And those emotions may belong to the animal. So say, for example, they've lost a loved one, then they can hold grief in their heart, but they may also be holding the emotions of the owners. So when I go to see an animal, I'm asking that animal, how are you feeling? Is this emotion yours? Because a lot of the time our animals are taking our emotions from us. So I've been to visit animals with severe anxiety, and when I've spoken to the animal, it said, it's not mine. It's not my anxiety, it's my owner's. So actually the owner is suffering with anxiety, and the animal is naturally drawing that anxiety into their body to help their owner, but then they are mirroring that anxiety back to them. So often when I go to communicate with animals, I'm looking at whether what that animal is exhibiting is actually theirs. So yeah, animals can share with me relations they have with other pets in the household, how they feel about their owners. It can be something simple like, whether they like their name or whether they like the food that they're being given. They can communicate to me about their health problems. Another thing that animals commonly communicate to me is the energy of the house. So animals are very sensitive to spirits. So if there is a spirit in the house that has not passed over, then that spirit may be disturbing the animal in its environment. So sometimes it is required that I bring a bit of mediumship into the session. I can communicate with the spirit that is in the house and release that spirit into the light so that the animal can live in its house comfortably. So I have come across animals that refuse to come into the house because there is a spirit in the house and the spirit is making the animal not feel welcome. So what's required in that situation is to clear the property of any unwanted spirits, and then the animal has then been able to come back into the house and relax in its own environment. So that's another thing that animals communicate to me. And another thing that's commonly coming up with animals at the moment when I'm communicating with them is past lives with their owners. So sometimes animals are exhibiting behavioural issues or physical problems that the vets can't seem to understand where it's coming from. And what's happening is the animal is actually portraying an issue from a past life that it's had with its owners. So our animals reincarnate with us over and over again. And sometimes they're human and sometimes they're animals. So animals aren't always animals. Contrary to popular belief, they do reincarnate as human and then they reincarnate as animals. So we switch between human and animal, which is why I'm so passionate about animals, because they are the same level of consciousness as us. And when something's happened in a past life with the animal and its owner, the animal will then start to bring up that situation into the current life. So they might start acting a certain way, and what they're doing is saying to the owner, hey, do you remember when this happened before? So they may start exhibiting an unusual behaviour, or they may exhibit physical pains, or they may even, life-threatening illnesses. And what's happening in this situation is the animal is bringing up the emotion of what happened in the past life so that the owner can finally deal with it. So we do bring through past life energies into this life, and those past lives can surface at certain ages, particularly if something traumatic happened in a previous life at a certain age. The cellular memory is activated in this current body, and then we may experience physical pain or limiting beliefs or fears or phobias in this life connected to what happened in the past life. So sometimes when I go and see animals, they communicate a past life to me, something that's happened with their owner before and that needs to be released from the owner and from the animal. Once we've accessed that past life and we've established what was being learned, what played out, I then ask the owner's permission and the animal's permission to release that past life so that everybody can receive healing. So when this happens, it's not just the animal that's receiving the healing, it is nearly always the owner as well. So the majority of times when I'm called out to see animals, the healing that's involved is not just for the animal, it's for one or several family members, because often the whole family is reincarnated together before, and there's emotions and fears and things playing out that are coming from the past life. So the past life is cleared for all family members so that everybody can receive healing and everybody can move on from it. So those are the things that I'm commonly doing in my communication sessions with animals. And I just thought I'd jump on and share that with you, just to give you a greater awareness of what animals can communicate to us and how they can help us to move forward in our lives today. So they can make us aware of places where we're holding ourselves back, places where we're holding anxiety, or we're holding on to past life trauma that we don't need to hold on to anymore, that we can let go of. So yeah, hope that's of interest to you. And if you want to hear more about the work that I do, then you can jump onto my website at rebeccagambles.com. And I've also got 2 Facebook pages as well, Rebecca Gambles Animal Healer and Communicator, and Rebecca Gambles Heavenly Connections. So feel free to follow me on those pages, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.